Hi everyone, welcome to Adventure Log. Today I'm going to show you how I painted my piece, The Devouring Islet. Let's take a look. So this piece I actually started with just a series of grays leading to white. I did my darkest in my foreground, middle ground being the mid-tone light warm gray, leading all the way back to the white in the background. I then shifted my focus after I got my final sketch in. I shifted my focus to just blocking in the water. It just kind of helped me stay with the mood that I was trying to get with the piece. I wanted kind of the underwater to almost feel not separated from the piece, but definitely a different vibe going on in the bottom, much more distressing and less heroic. So I kind of wanted it to have a different mood. So I focused down there trying to build up what that underwater would look like, just because it was something I really wanted to focus on at the beginning. It felt like something fun I wanted to do, and it kind of helped me keep inspired with the piece. I then started blocking in over the base coat, just some quick blocking of the Devouring Islet. I still haven't moved to the foreground characters yet, but this kind of helped me start seeing what the rest of the tone of the piece is like, the stuff that's above the water. Now we're starting to block in the archer. I'm just kind of gradually making my way toward the foreground, working on each piece as I go. I honestly haven't really done too many group pieces. This is actually maybe even one of my first ones that I've done, like a group action scene. So I was kind of learning as I go. It's definitely a different beast than doing a very character-focused piece. Started blocking in some of the background, kind of filling things out a little bit more, adding some life here and there, some subtle details, keeping that brush a little bigger, not zoomed in a lot yet, still keeping it at a wide to medium size lens in terms of scope. Kind of added a little bit of detail into the water. I just kind of, every time I feel stuck on a piece, I tend to go to one detail and just kind of hash it out and try to get it even further. This kind of helps me stay motivated to keep going with the piece because it lets me see kind of where things are going. And with a piece this unfamiliar in terms of territory for me, I really needed to do that a lot in this piece. It definitely helped. So now we're at the phase again where we're doing that block in on top of the light block in. We're just kind of coating on more paint, adding more density, slowly chipping away at both the sketch and the base coat, kind of getting that away and covering it up with some color. Going in and doing some details here and there. Just trying to find where I can kind of clean up as I go, just kind of picking piece by piece by piece, adding depth, adding detail. Once again, as you just saw it, I kind of went and focused a bit on the fox archer just so I could really be like, okay, what's the mood of the people in the foreground? Like, how's this gonna look? And I really like added in the shadows, added in the ripples of the cloak. I thought it was really important to show the ripples of the cloak, just kind of added a little bit of realism to it that I really wanted. It seemed to really help give me a grasp of what this whole piece is gonna kind of look like. So it was really important that I worked on that fox for a bit and just kind of stayed there for a bit and then moved on. And then I kind of eventually shifted to the bear. One, because I had to do it. I had to eventually get there. But I was just kind of like, okay, I don't really know where to go right now with the Devouring Islet. Let me go back and finish up the other characters, and then maybe that'll help me figure things out. And once I started the bear, it seems that I kind of knew a little bit more of where to go in terms of like matching it in terms of shadow and depth. I didn't want the Devouring Islet to be as deep of values as the foreground characters, because then things will get kind of lost in terms of communication. Right now, the foreground characters are kind of making a good framing around the focal point of the piece, which is the head of the Devouring Islet. It's just like that. This is the card art for the Devouring Islet monster, so he is the focus of this piece. So it's really important that we stay on focus with that. And so I use them as a framing to kind of draw the eye to the face that you see. So for this group piece, I really wanted to have all 4 characters for my game incorporated into this piece. And when I initially sketched it, I didn't really know where to put the knight. I was kind of like, I can't put her on the boat. It would just like couldn't look too condensed. It would take away from like the focal point. I didn't really know where else to put her. And then I was like, oh, well, she sometimes has wings. She has an ability where she can fly. Why don't I just have her up in the background, like striking at the beast? And it really helps give scale to how big this creature actually is because of how small she is. So I felt like that was a good placement for her. It kind of helped sell the scale a bit more. So you'll see me go into black and white a couple times throughout the piece. That's just me kind of checking the values of the piece, making sure that what I'm adding to the Devouring Islet isn't affecting how things are visualized in the focal point of the piece. I didn't want to take away from where your eye is supposed to go too much. And I'm just doing that using an adjustment layer in black and white. I find that using an adjustment layer is better than duplicating and desaturating a layer, because I can adjust it as I need, and then I can just turn it off and on when I want to, and it kind of adjusts and edits in real time, and it gives me I feel like it gives me a truer understanding of the values in the piece. The knight was so hard because her ability that she's doing is like such a warm tone, and the whole piece is relatively cool, and it for a bit it felt like it was kind of conflicting, and I was trying to find a way to kind of bring that warmth in there a little more cohesively. I think we ended up getting to a place that felt pretty good though. Now we're kind of at that point where we're doing final details, especially on the bear. He was kind of left last for pretty much everything in terms of this process. So I'm kind of really focusing on him right now at the moment in this piece. But at the same time, I'm going through adding final details, adding folds to fabrics, final highlights and shadows and spots, final textures like on the axe and on like the armor. So we're kind of going through that whole piece and just kind of seeing where things should go. But it's really starting to come together, and now you can kind of start to see how it should look, and it's really coming together as a whole. It's looking good. Another small detail I wanted to highlight was I added the water going into the boat a little bit to kind of show that it kind of helps show like the weight and size of this bear warrior. I feel like it's such a subtle way to kind of show like just his strength, or even just his size in comparison. And it also is another little detail that helps accentuate just how big this creature is comparatively. I also added some fish that you'll probably see later on in the video into the river that are kind of moving around almost like they got spooked away by the boat rocking, which I thought was also a nice little environmental storytelling touch. With this piece being so big in terms of scale, I didn't really have to zoom in too much to do finer details because everything was so large, at least in terms of the thing that we're supposed to be focusing on. So I was actually pretty zoomed out a lot of the time for this piece, even when I got to the final details. This piece was a great challenge, a lot of fun to do. I've never done a piece like this, so it was definitely a lot of fun. I really look forward to doing more of these. I've sketched a bunch since, and I can't wait to try doing those as well. I hope you like how this piece turned out as much as I did. I really hope you learned something today. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and keep creating.